Hey, it's Andrew, and I want to share the favorite games that I played on my Steam Deck this past year. These games did not have to come out in 2024 to be on my list. They're just games that I played on my Steam Deck in 2024. I also have a couple honorable mentions closer to the end, and these are all in order of awesomeness, in my opinion. Number 5. Gunfire Reborn. I don't even remember when I was recommended this game. I've owned it for forever, and I never played it before getting the Steam Deck. But when I got the deck, I downloaded it and I gave it a go and I got hooked. Gunfire Reborn is a first-person shooter roguelike, and it is very much like a classic roguelike. You've got a ton of different heroes, all with different abilities. You select one, and then you spawn in at Dungeon 1, Level 1. You play through the dungeons, through the levels of that dungeon, get to a final boss of that dungeon, move on to the next dungeon, and you just go through them in order until you die. When you die, you get a ton of ability points. Anything you collected during that run, you scale your character, and then you start over back at Dungeon 1, Level 1. So you're always fighting to get as far as you can, and then going back to the death screen, upgrading what you can to see if you can make it even further to the next run. There are tons and tons of guns in this game, and all kinds of different skills and adjustments that you can roll when you pick up these guns from drops or just enemy pickups. They'll spawn everywhere in chests, kills, bosses will drop them, all kinds of stuff. And there's just such a huge variety of playable weapons. It's kind of absurd. This game can hook you because of how much there is to play with, as well as how simple it is to engage with. It has co-op. I've never tried it, but when I got my Steam Deck, I threw this game on there, and it's really easy to pick up and play and then sit down and go do things about your day. It's always great though to pick up your Steam Deck and run through another run of that dungeon to see how far you can make it. It's a ton of fun, and I highly recommend it if you've never heard of it or want to try it. It's generally pretty cheap on Steam sales. Highly recommend putting it on your wish list, giving it a go. Before I get on to number 4, I do want to share the sponsor of this video with you guys, and it is this nifty little battery from Ainu. And honestly, if you're a Steam Deck user, I recommend checking this thing out. Ainu sent me out their mini 25,000 milliamp hour battery, and this thing is awesome. Portable power banks have always been kind of tedious to me. I don't always want to throw another brick in my bag simply to charge things if I for some reason run out of battery and I can't charge elsewhere. And if you want a solid amount of battery to make that brick worth bringing, you have to bring a giant portable battery. This guy though is remarkably small. If I'm going out of town, going on a road trip, I make sure to throw this thing in my bag because it's small enough and convenient enough to forget about it and have it in case you need it. And considering that it's really small, it's got 3 output ports, and one of them even does 100 watts, which means I could quickly charge up my MacBook Pro if I need it, or just charge 3 different devices at once. And again, it's a big enough battery, even though it's tiny, to give you enough juice to comfortably charge up 3 devices. There are countless brands doing 25,000 milliamp hour batteries, but Ainu killed it with this form factor. This guy is forgettable, tiny, and out of the way, which is exactly what you want a portable carry like this to be. You want it there just in case you need it, and you don't want to deal with it if you don't need it. So I'm going to be using this thing for years to come, as I like to travel a good amount. I do recommend checking it out. There is a link in the description to Amazon, and that will help the channel if you do purchase it. Thank you so much to Ainu for sponsoring this video and sending out this little portable brick, because I will be using it a good amount. Back to the video. Number 4. Uncharted, specifically Uncharted 4, because that's the one on Steam. And I know this is kind of a weird one. The only Uncharted game on Steam is Uncharted 4, and it comes with the special expansion story that they did with that other character I can't remember the name of. And I remember playing this game years ago on my PS4, and I loved it. Uncharted is a very simple game, and it is incredibly fun, and it works so well on handhelds in general, especially the Steam Deck. I remember playing the weird Uncharted game that came out on the PlayStation Vita years ago. I loved that one. There's something that's great about a really pocket-sized, huge adventure that is really easy to pick up and put down. The gunplay is super fun, the jumping around and parkour is fun and exciting, the story is fantastic, the acting is incredible and immersive. If you've got a couple hours to take a dump or take a flight, highly recommend putting some time into this game. If you haven't played it before, it's definitely a must-play. It's one of the best games we've seen as far as visual fidelity, story, fluidity. Naughty Dog really knocked it out of the park with this one. All of the Uncharted games are incredible. If they were on Steam, I would have played through all of them on my Steam Deck because it's just the perfect place to play them. It is just a big epic adventure boiled down to a perfectly fine syrup. It is a blast. If you haven't played Uncharted, just go play it. These games are amazing. Uncharted 4 on the Steam Deck is awesome. Highly recommend it. Go play it. Number 3, Ori and the Blind Forest. This is another one of those games that I played years ago when it launched as a console exclusive. And then when I saw it on a Steam sale, I made sure to pick it up because I thought it would be a great experience on the Steam Deck. And I was correct. This game is amazing on deck. And Ori and the Blind Forest is one of my favorite games ever. It is just a fantastic game all around. This game has possibly one of the best soundtracks you're ever going to see in a game. The background art and the art style in general are jaw-dropping. The game is incredibly fluid and fun, even when it's a little bit cruel and punishing, because it can be pretty hard sometimes. The prologue might possibly make you cry. This game is a masterpiece and it plays incredibly comfortably on the Steam Deck. The OLED display on the Steam Deck takes the colors and art of this game and just makes them absolutely beautiful. The ergonomics and comfortability of the controls on the Steam Deck just make this game that much more engaging and fluid to play. It's one of my favorite Metroidvania style games ever, and the skill tree is great. There's so many awesome things about this game. I don't really want to spoil much of it, but it is Metroidvania, big world, interesting story, good mechanics, amazing soundtrack. I couldn't recommend this game enough, especially if you haven't played it. It is a special one. Number 2. Elden Ring is one of the best games ever made. And if you're not hearing that from me, you've heard it from somebody else. It was also my first Souls game. I'd heard everything about it, hadn't really wanted to pull the trigger on it. Eventually I saw it go on sale on Steam, and so I picked it up and gave it a go. Played about 20 minutes of the game and then dropped it for 2 months. Funny enough, I have to mention, I played this game mostly docked on my big 77-inch TV, which is just proof that you can play Steam Deck like it's a console. I used a wireless controller and played this on a TV like it was a PlayStation. For whatever reason, 2 months later, I picked this game back up and then I sat on my couch for 3 days straight. I was waking up at 10 a.m. and then playing until 4 a.m. It took a minute to get me, but when this game got me, it got me. This game is just so amazing. It takes the same approach to open world that Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild did back in 2017. You just walk into that world and all of a sudden, whatever you see, you can run to that. And this world is so rich with content. There is something interesting and engaging hidden around pretty much every single corner. When you start running around, you'll find a chest that teleports you to a world over here. You'll find a well that transports you to like another universe. You'll find a thing over here that ends you up in a tree far away, somewhere else that you never knew existed. The game is expansive and just so full of cool stuff. You just end up exploring and exploring and exploring, and it is never ending, and it is so fun. And yes, this game can be very, very challenging, but once you finally figure out the basics of that combat system and how to engage with enemies, this game becomes so much more real because of it. When you climb a giant tower and find some gothic nightmare monster at the top, it scares you. And not just because it looks scary, but it moves scary. It attacks you like it wants to kill you. And you have to have learned how to defend yourself realistically. It doesn't pull any punches. If that thing flies at you and you don't make the right decision to defend yourself, you are dead. And with the level of rewards everywhere in this game, it makes it that much more potent. That fight with that scary gothic monster at the top of that tower makes you sweat. It scares you. And when you defeat him, it is the most incredible feeling ever. But some people just don't want to play something that takes a lot of dedication and focus to figure out. And I get that. Some people just want to play and they want to have fun. Elden Ring is a lot of fun to play, but it takes a part of you to have that fun. You have to put yourself into that game and try. And when you do, it's the most rewarding thing ever. So the game is a masterpiece and I could not recommend it enough, but I do understand that it is not for everyone. This game is unmatched though, and it is one of the best things to come from the gaming industry in a long, long time. If you are even slightly interested in it, I compel you to give it a go because it is something else. Now, before I get to number 1, I want to tackle some honorable mentions. LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. Don't ask me why I bought and 100% of this game this year. I still don't really know why, but I loved this game as a kid and I still love it now. Great game. You should give it a go. Black Ops 3 Zombies. Zombies specifically. If you didn't know, Treyarch ended up adding mod tools to Black Ops 3 on Steam, which means there is an endless amount of community-created content in the Steam Workshop. And Steam Workshop content is playable on the Steam Deck. So you've got all kinds of content from crazy goofy challenges, just joke maps, to incredible, like real dev-made feeling maps that somebody poured their soul into. There is so much content to play, and if you loved Black Ops 3 Zombies, it's definitely worth checking out. Oxenfree. Oxenfree is an amazing game. No spoilers. Very story heavy. Go play it. A couple more. Mega Man Battle Network. I don't know which one. I think I played all of them this year. Great games. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII is awesome. The remake plays great on the deck. It's a fun game. A lot of great games to play on the deck. These were my honorable mentions. I do want to get to my favorite game that I played this year on the Steam Deck though. So let's move on to number 1. Ghost of Tsushima. I've got a video coming out next week about the experience of playing games in bed on a handheld just under your blankets. Subscribe if you want to see that, by the way. Kind of like how we all used to when we were playing games on our DS past our bedtime and we didn't want our parents to know. And I played pretty much this entire game like that on the Steam Deck. About a week or two after I received my Steam Deck, the director's cut of Ghost of Tsushima launched on Steam, and I picked it up, and it was really the first big game that I played on the deck. And Japan holds an incredibly special place in my heart, so I was really hoping that this game would just immerse me in Japan and put me there, and man, it did. And not only was it immersive, but this game is epic. In this game, you play as Jin Sakai, who is a samurai who was cut down with his comrades in a battle on a beach as the Mongolians invaded Tsushima. Your uncle, who is the leader of the samurai and most of the island, is taken prisoner, and you are left to die with the samurai. The samurai are pretty much dead and scattered. The Mongols have pretty much taken over the island of Tsushima. Due to a lucky friend though, your character, Jin Sakai, he survives, and he is nursed back to health. He then starts the sole task of beginning to take back the island of Tsushima from the Mongolian invaders. The game's main story is pretty simple, as I just explained, and it has great strong characters, making it really fun and engaging to play through. But the strength of the story relies heavily on the dichotomy between the samurai code and the actions that Jin has to take in order to defeat Mongolian invaders pretty much by himself. While samurai meet their enemies head-on, face-to-face, and fight to the death, Jin can't really do that because he's outnumbered 10,000 to 1. So he has to strike from the shadows a bit, and this is where the ghost comes in. The story is an epic tale that pays homage to classic samurai films, and it dials the drama between the samurai code and the actions that Jin has to take to save his island so well. The gameplay is pretty simple in general. You mostly invade settlements and take them back from the Mongols and assist people in heists and legendary tales. There's all kinds of side quests and deep extra content, skill trees. There's legendary tales of finding all kinds of weird mythical artifacts and skills that you gain as a samurai. There's different techniques and fighting styles of the samurai that you can slowly level up, which allow you to take advantages on certain types of enemies. So like a shielded enemy might get destroyed by one stance type, while a swordsman enemy might get destroyed by a different stance type. There's a really interesting balance of fighting mechanics and enemy types that's really engaging. This game is incredibly immersive and really, really beautiful, and I cannot recommend it enough. And it plays really, really well on the deck. The devs made it so it would play really well on the Steam Deck, and they poured a lot of heart into this game. This game has a really good soul. There's some powerful emotional moments in this story, and it might have gotten a little tear from my eye. It's an amazing game, and it's one of my favorite games I think of all time. It is just truly a masterpiece, and I do highly recommend it if it is at all interesting to you. But these were the top 5 games that I played on my Steam Deck in 2024. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you give the games a go if you've never played them before. And I know it's a little bit late, but thank you guys so much for the year that I had on my YouTube channel in 2024. You guys made it incredible. We did some amazing things that I would have never dreamed of. I went from making a video and getting a handful of views to becoming partnered on YouTube, and that was a dream come true. I could have never imagined that that would happen. It's something that growing up I was always so fascinated by. A lot of my heroes were YouTubers and content creators partnered on YouTube, and seeing that was the coolest thing ever, and having it happen to me was mind-blowing. So again, thank you guys so much for 2024. I love you guys so much. Happy New Year's. I hope all of you guys have an incredible 2025. I want to say thank you to D Sanchez for being a member on this channel, and hey, thank you so much for watching. Peace.